Hey, yo, hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Aquaman! Death of a Prince. Take a look at the comic cover right here. Now, one of the most commonly asked questions that I get is, Andrew, how do I get into Aquaman? And it's not an easy question to answer, for two reasons. One is that there's not really enough Aquaman stuff collected into trades, if you do collect trades. There's only been about 6. The 3 Showcase Presents trades, Waterbearer, Time and Tide, and now Death of a Prince. In addition to that, you could pick up the individual issues, however, some of them are too expensive, the earlier stuff, and some of the other stuff isn't just that good, the newer stuff, especially with the new Aquaman. Second reason why this is a tough thing to answer is because no matter what answer I give, it's not going to apply to everyone. For example, I could give you the recommendation to pick up the Showcase Presents Aquaman series, which I thoroughly enjoyed and I thought was a great way to get into the character, introduces you to his universe, who he is, his secondary characters, and his villains. A really great way to get into Aquaman. The problem is that although it collects 10 plus years of Aquaman comics, it deals with the Silver Age of Aquaman, and Silver Age was kind of campy, and not everyone wants to read a campy Aquaman. Granted, he's not quite as campy as Superman or Wonder Woman were at the time, but it's still pretty campy. So as you can see, no easy answer I can give will help anyone get into Aquaman, nonetheless everyone. It's kind of a hard question to answer. One thing I do recommend is 2 things. You could pick up the JLA series back in the 90s, which was done by Grant Morrison, which really utilized Aquaman beautifully. But again, that's not just Aquaman, that's the Justice League. And I could also recommend picking up Aquaman #1 when it comes out this September. But the problem is September is still a month or 2 away. So you have a bit of a wait. So, with that said, recently we have Aquaman Death of a Prince released. And this collects a good chunk of Aquaman comics during the 70s. 20 plus stories. It's a pretty thick collection of Aquaman stories. And, as it says in the title, this deals with a death of a prince. So there's really no spoiler at all when I talk about this story because it comes in the title. Death of a Prince. This story deals with everything that leads up to and afterwards the death of Aquaman's son. Probably one of the most momentous deaths in all of comics. Yes, I know it's Aqua Baby dying, but still, it's a pretty momentous death because it changes the landscape of Aquaman, and also, well, it's a child dying. That's pretty gruesome and dark. Anywho, the question is this. Will Death of the Prince give people a chance to jump into Aquaman? Will it give them a chance to really experience an Aquaman that is classic in flavor but serious in tone? Or will the story just be too drawn out and boring? Well, that's an answer that I'm going to provide with you today. So let's get into the story itself. Aquaman Death of a Prince starts out pretty simple and easy. Aquaman is going around making his rounds as King of Atlantis and as the superhero Aquaman, member of the Justice League. He is doing the heroic stuff that Aquaman always does. Fighting evil with fish and fists. Yes, fish and fists. Should have dolphins on his fists and just start pounding stuff. But Aquaman is just living his life normally. However, Black Manta is starting to get on his case. A lot. And starting to get more and more deadly. In addition to that, there is a coup going on within Atlantis to dethrone Aquaman. Aquaman is eventually dethroned as king, and at this time, all of his enemies are attacking him. Black Manta, Shark, the Fisherman, and Ocean Master, along with a ton of enemies that aren't actually Aquaman enemies. You'll see people like Weather Wizard and Cobra show up, and they all start pummeling at Aquaman all at once. And Black Manta deals the most devastating blow that could ever be dealt to Aquaman. What would that be? The death of his son. Black Manta, and again, no spoiler here, it's in the title, Black Manta kills Aquaman's baby son, driving Aquaman on a path of vengeance. And at the same time, driving Mera slightly insane. So the question is this. Will Aquaman be able to stop Black Manta, avenge the death of his son, or will Aquaman go on to a path of darkness that, well, he just won't recover from? On to the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good! Well, the one thing I like about this has a great range of Aquaman comics that have a serious Bronze Age tone to it while still having the classic Aquaman from the Silver Age in there. You get to see all of Aquaman's secondary characters, from the Atlanteans to Mera to Aqualad to Aqua Girl, and of course, Aqua Baby, if you want to call him that. I just call him Aquaman's son. I don't even bother with his name. You see all of his secondary characters in there. You get a good feel of it. You also get a lot of his villains. Ocean Master, King Shark. You get Black Manta, the Fisherman. And you say what you want about the Fisherman. That guy has the silliest gimmick of all time, and I'm scared shitless of that dude. He is a badass. So you get a lot of villains in there. And there's a lot of well-ranged stories for people to read. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone. And like I said, there's a lot there, a good amount of content. This isn't just 4 issues. This is 20 plus issues or stories of Aquaman. It collects, ready for this? Adventure Comics 435 to 437, and then 441 to 445, and Aquaman 57 to 63. A lot of issues, a lot of stories. And they're not just Aquaman stories, they're also Aqualad stories and Mera stories. There's 2 secondary stories that go on while the Aquaman stories are going on. So that's good. Along with the art being good, the action being good, the characterization being very nice. I like after the death of Aquaman's son, how he goes on a tirade of vengeance, and how Mera kind of snaps and she blames Aquaman for everything. It's a great characterization. Also, the villains in this are pretty badass. Like I said, Fisherman kind of scares me. He has a silly-ass gimmick and a silly-ass costume, but this guy is deadly as hell. And Black Manta is just scary as all hell. I mean, you could say what you want about Lex Luthor, but I don't see him killing any kids. Black Manta has no problem with that. It's funny because I don't like to quote writers that much, but Jeff Johns said one of the scariest characters he's ever seen was Black Manta. And that's why he's writing him right now in Aquaman and in Brightest Day and all that, because Black Manta is that scary. You will find a newfound respect for Black Manta if you read this. Bad. Well, the number one bad is, well, there's a spoiler right away in the title. Again, nothing I'm not telling you that you don't already know. Death of a Prince. You automatically find out that Aquaman's son is going to die. It's a given. There's no denying it. It's no secret at all. And it does ruin the story a little bit. If I didn't know that Aquaman's son was going to die, and I knew he died before I got into this, but let's just say I went into this completely ignorant and I didn't know Aquaman's son was going to die, it would have been a lot better than if I knew he was going to die, because they do a great job at structuring the stories. The first couple of stories are really Aquaman getting attacked from all angles, politically, personally, professionally, and then when him and his family go into exile, he has to deal with the constant attacks of evildoers, with his son eventually getting into danger. Then Mera blaming him for all this, and Aquaman going on to a tirade of vengeance really is a great arcing story, which starts off good, good, bad, 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 bad for Aquaman, bad for Aquaman, bad for Aquaman, and then Aquaman just goes into a dark area. It's a really great curve for the story, but knowing that the son is going to die, it just kind of doesn't do it for the story for me. It takes away that element of surprise. So that is a bad. Second bad is that while it is good that collects a lot of Aquaman stories, it collects a lot of Aquaman stories. Maybe too much to read in one sitting. This is something that you're going to read over X amount of days. When I got this, I did over about 3 or 4 days. I got this maybe last Wednesday, I think. Maybe, yeah, last Wednesday, a week or so ago. And I've been taking this in strides. I've been reading issue here, maybe an issue here, maybe an issue at work. So this isn't something that's going to be a complete story arc that you can read in one sitting, unless you're a madman. This is something that you're going to read over a span of time, which can be good, but when it comes down to an actual story arc, you want to be able to read it in one sitting rather than have to deal with it over a period of time. Something like the Showcase Presents series or the Chronicle series, where they're individual one-shot stories, are fine reading them over a period of time. But something that's supposed to be an overarching story, you want to read in one sitting. So that is one of the bads, is that there's a lot there, and that's good, but it's a lot to read and handle all at once. On a whole, whether or not you should get it. Well, the question I posed at the beginning of this video is this a good way to get into Aquaman? And the answer I give you is kind of. See, this is great Aquaman writing. Great Aquaman story. It's fun. It's enjoyable. And I think anyone who will read this will have a newfound respect for Aquaman. The one problem is that there's a lot to know going into this. Who is Black Manta? Who's Ocean Master? Why is Ocean Master obsessed with Atlantis? Why can't Aquaman fight Ocean Master? Why does he want to hurt him? Who is the Fisherman? Who's Mirror? Who's Aqualad? I mean, if you are going into this not knowing anything about Aquaman, you're probably going to be a little bit lost. How did he become king? Was he always king? Why is he getting dethroned? Who is this person that's dethroning him? Is he a new character? Is he someone that's been around for a while? Again, these are all things that, you kind of need to know going into the story. That's why I do recommend reading the Showcase Presents stuff before reading this. That's not to say you can't go into the story blind. You can go into the story not knowing anything and still get a good amount of value from it. Just not quite as much as if you read the previous Aquaman stuff. So when I ask you is this, when you ask me, is this a story to get into Aquaman? Probably not the best place to start. It's probably one of the better Aquaman stuff. There's no denying that. Definitely out of all the trades I've read of Aquaman, this is probably one of the most enjoyable. But is it the best place to start? Maybe not. Like I said, if you really want to get into Aquaman, if you really want to commit to him, this really comes down to 3 options. These are the options. One is you could pick up the Showcase Presents series, volume 1 through 3, and then jump into Death of a Prince, which will cost you a bit of money, but it's a great way to actually understand Aquaman, to enjoy Aquaman. It seems daunting at first because when I started reading the Showcase Presents material, it was like, oh, really, this is kind of boring. But after an issue or two, it started to get really good, really fun, classic Aquaman. Option number 2 is picking up the JLA stuff. Basically, volumes 1 through 12. Up to the Obsidian Age, because that's where Aquaman leaves the team. Great stuff with Aquaman on it. It's just not just Aquaman. It's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Everyone's there. Or the last option is just wait till September when issue number 1 of Aquaman comes out. It really comes down to how committed of a comic book reader are you. Are you a casual reader or are you a committed reader? If you're a committed reader, then I recommend option A, which is pick up the Showcase Presents material and then pick up this. Any committed comic book person, a comic book enthusiast, will enjoy reading older stuff if it means that they're going to get some value from it. Casual readers, not so much. Not everyone wants to commit to the older stuff. Some people just want to get into something new. And if you're a casual reader, if you're one of those people that are just trying to get into comics, then just wait till September when issue number 1 comes out. But like I said, it really comes down to your discretion. If you're a casual reader or you're a committed reader. Depends on how much money you want to push out and how much you want to read. Or how much you want to wait. But, as a final verdict for this particular story itself, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Putting anything about getting into Aquaman aside, I really did enjoy this. This was fun. This was exciting. This had great emotion to it. I mean, granted, it is a 70s story, and it's going to have some cheesiness from being in the 70s. It was really good. It was really fun, and I am happy I got this. So far, this has been the best of Aquaman that I've read in his own individual series, and this is just getting me more and more pumped for Aquaman number 1, because I'm already a big Aquaman fan, but now I'm getting more and more pumped. Oh, I just want to see him kick some ass, because that's what Aquaman does best. Kick ass. Outrageous. So with that said, I've been going on for about 14 minutes and 9 seconds now. I'm going to end this review here. This particular trade, if you read other Aquaman stuff, you're going to thoroughly enjoy this. If you haven't read other Aquaman stuff, you might be a little confused, but you'll still enjoy this. And for recommendations, just go back in the video and look at what I talked about. This is Aaron saying, peace out for now.